In this video, we're going to look at sensory acuity and how to read people. Sensory acuity is the noticing of the minute changes in a person's physiology. How might this be useful to you? Well, just imagine what it would be if you could really master and notice all the minute changes that a person makes during a conversation. If you're in sales, how would it be if you could just change your approach in mid-sentence to notice exactly what it is that your client requires in order to make that sale? If you're communicating with children or communicating with the ones that you love, how would it be if you could just change and notice what you're saying in order to get the desired result that you want for your family or your loved ones? These are all non-verbal messages, and you're noticing how people change when you say them. And as they change, you can change your behaviour, you can change the way that you approach things before they've actually realised or made up their mind whether to accept, delete or reject what it is that you're saying or selling. In an office, this is a really useful tool to have, because one of the big problems that I have in companies that I go and see is communication. And this is the real building block on which the foundations start with communication, the communications model. You'll remember from previous broadcasts and previous videos that I've done that communication is all about how people react to things that you say. So something happens on the outside, it goes into somebody's head, it goes into somebody's life, into their mind, and is either deleted, distorted or generalized to fit in with what's been happening before in their lives. And these filters then create an internal representation, a picture, a state, a behaviour of how somebody's going to be and how they're going to react to whatever's gone on the outside. So that's a little bit of history. The study of sensory acuity was done by the pioneers of NLP, and they studied Dr. Milton Erickson. Milton Erickson was an eminent doctor, physician and therapist in Ohio in the 70s, 80s and 90s, sadly dying in the early 2000s. He, as a child, suffered from polio, and it got to the point where his disease was so bad he was lying on a bed and all he could do is move his eyes. He had use of his ears, but he couldn't communicate apart from using his eyes and what he saw. And he watched for week upon week, just lying there with his eyes open, how people reacted when they saw him, how people reacted when they said things. And he started noticing that sometimes their physiology was totally different to what verbally was told to him. And he started then really studying, because he had nothing else to do if you think about it, he's studying how people reacted to the things that they said. So he worked out very quickly whether people were telling the truth. Now, this is not a lie detector. This is not like body language. It's not hallucinating. It's not mind reading. It's the way that you calibrate somebody on what they say or what they hear. So that goes into 5 main areas of sensory acuity. Their skin will go from light to dark. So it all depends on what the muscle structure is underneath the skin. That if someone is saying something which is slightly stressful, the muscles will tighten and the skin will go slightly lighter. If the person is more relaxed, the skin goes much more fuller because the muscles underneath the skin are reacting, so you're getting more blood flow. The same goes for the tonus of the skin, because if the muscles are tight underneath, the skin will go slightly shiny, and then when they're relaxed, it will go dull. When people talk, sometimes they talk very fast, and other times they talk very slow. With the breathing, It's a really interesting way to watch somebody and calibrate what's going on the inside. Someone may be breathing quite fast. Other people may be breathing very slowly. They may be breathing high up in their chest, or they may be breathing very low in their stomach. And it's really interesting just to watch people when they talk or when they listen of how their breathing goes and being able to calibrate between each breath and noticing the subtle changes. Some people will breathe very shallowly. Other people very deeply, and points between. And it all depends on what they're experiencing, and this is all unconscious, remember. So this is not them not going, oh, I can change the way I breathe. No, it happens automatically. The skin colour, the way they talk, the way they breathe. You'll notice that sometimes when someone has something they like, their lips become very full. And when something they don't like, they come very tight. You'll notice that perhaps their eyes will change. Their eyes become more focused or defocused. Their pupils dilate or undilate. And all this happens in a minute detail. And if you start noticing how people react to things that you say, you're really going to notice whether your communication is working with them. One way of noticing this and learning this is to have peripheral vision. So right now, if you just kick back your chair for a second or look at something and just focus directly, just choose one little thing on a wall, on a window, wherever you're looking, just notice one specific thing. And all I want you is to focus on that little thing. And keep staring at it. And as you focus on it, just notice how everything around the edge has gone all blurred. And as you keep looking at that central point, now allow your focus just to go out, what we call peripheral vision, and start noticing things around it. But your eyes don't move from that spot. And then bring your focus back even more, and so you can see things right out to your left-hand side and right out to your right-hand side. And as you notice these things, you can still see the point in the middle, but you're seeing the whole picture. So when communicating with people, rather than focusing directly on one specific thing, if you let your focus go back, you're going to see all the differences in their tonality of skin. You're going to start noticing the difference that you hear in the way that they speak. You're going to start noticing perhaps the lip size, whether what you're saying is working or not. And this way you're going to build more rapport. Your communication is going to be better. Not only that, you'll be able to realise how easy it is to communicate people at a much deeper level than ever before. So just imagine how useful this would be if you really master this subject, because this is the building block of communication. Because all those filters that we don't even know that we have will go in, be generalized, deleted, etc., and then it'll make the behavior. It'll come up with that picture of what's going on. So you want to make sure that you're ahead of the game and you're watching all these unconscious changes in people's physiology. Now, when I run courses, we have games with this, and we get people up and we ask them to say something, think of something they like and then something they dislike, and then we have to test and work out which ones they are after a while. And it soon becomes second nature, and you can tell really easily. So this is something that you might want to take further. How would it be for you? What advantages? Can you give me 3 advantages of being able to communicate at this level, of noticing how people change? Just type in the comments below 3 real advantages that learning this and doing this will have on your life. whether dealing with your children, whether you're dealing with your parents, whether dealing with your loved ones, whether dealing with people in the office, whatever your work is. Being able to notice these minute changes and reacting to them instantly. Give me 3 things why and how that will improve your life. If you haven't done so already, please just hit the subscribe button and you'll get more videos. And as we go through the videos, we'll get more into detail of each subject.